It's the most tweeted streaming TV series of the year, the new Netflix series, 13 Reasons Why. Find out why some experts say it's dangerous. Plus, what changed this addict's life after 7 years of drug addiction.
I said, God, if you're real, I'm going to surrender my life to you.
Pastor and author Robby Gallaty shares his amazing transformation, all on today's 700 Club Interactive. Well, welcome to the show. You may have heard about the new Netflix series, 13 Reasons Why. The series is breaking all sorts of barriers, such as confronting teen suicide and bullying, and surpassing a record with over 3.5 million tweets, making it the most tweeted streaming TV series of the year.
The teen drama deals with very heavy issues and revolves around 17-year-old Hannah Baker, who takes her own life and leaves behind cassette recordings for 13 people who she says were part of why she killed herself. The show deals with everything from sexual assault to bullying to suicide. The series is credited for an almost 100% increase in the number of calls to suicide hotlines, not just here in the United States, but in places like Australia and Brazil.
Well, there's been lots of reaction, both positive and negative. The National Association of School Psychologists says the show is extremely dangerous for people who are living with depression or have suicidal thoughts. They posted on Facebook a consideration for educators, saying that the show may actually prompt viewers to consider or attempt suicide. So they recommend that vulnerable youth do not watch the show. They also encourage educators to engage in conversations with students. Well, others say it's a series that's much needed in our society today. And one teen says there are so many great messages in this series that are usually swept under the rug in our society, but are important in a teenager's life. And then Joseph, a father of 4, says, it was enlightening to see what my teen may be experiencing and exposed to in high school. The show has no filters and is quite explicit. It is rated mature, so it's better suited for high school students. Parents should definitely watch it and discuss it with their teen. And then Margaret, a mother and grandmother, shares, I found the truth of it to be sad and revealing. Without Jesus, so there will never be hope, and that's what I felt was missing at every turn. Too bad the Christian world has not tackled this same subject with the same strength, but with the message of Christ at the end. And what do you think about that, Terry?
Wow.
We tend to shy away from discussing suicide.
Well, and being really candid about whatever it is we discuss. I mean, I think kids, this is obviously saying they are exposed to all of this in a very real, very deep way. So knowing about it is one thing, then addressing it honestly and not camouflaging it in any way is another. And I agree with the grandmother at the end. To give anything but Jesus is the answer is to give a false hope.
Yes, you know, without God and without hope in the world,
where are you going?
If you don't have some hope that there is redemption, and not only some hope that there's redemption, but there's going to be justice, particularly if you're going through bullying, you're going through sexual assault, those, you know, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. If you don't have that hope, then where do you go? Well,
and how about self-worth? Because, you know, in the end, you can't change all of these external things that are out there. You can't change mean people. I mean, they are what they are, but you can change an understanding of who you are, who God created you to be. And that, I think, is maybe the strongest barrier we've got against what the world shoots at us.
And it's also to get past the past.
Yes.
That, you know, so often when we're hurt, and particularly when we're hurt and it's not justified, that it's completely wrong, and we want to stay in that moment and continue to judge that moment. And in that, we're also judging ourselves. Why did I let myself get exposed to that? Or why didn't I, you know, not go to school that day or whatever? We're stuck in that moment. And with Christ, you can get free from that moment. You can say, I can leave that. Behold, all things are made new.
Made new,
and I can have a new day in Him. And let's look forward to today, because God's going to have some great adventure for me today.
And I think also, don't you as a parent, that, you know, parents should watch this. Parents should see it. It should be a topic of conversation where the parent and the child get to discuss what's happening there and maybe opening the door to what's happening at your school.
Well, I found as a parent that my children really responded when I responded to bullying.
Absolutely.
And I wasn't going to wait for justice. we were going to have it, and I'm going to confront it. I'm going to get on the phone, or I'm going to go knock on a door and say, this is what happened. And you know, I need to be assured it's never going to happen again.
Exactly.
The kids were usually embarrassed by it, but at the end of the day, I think they liked it. And I wasn't the only one vigilant. Catherine was probably
right behind you.
No, she was leading. She was leading. Well, we need to understand that suicide is the second leading, underline that, second leading cause of death among teenagers in the United States. If you or someone you know needs help, please call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. You can reach them at 1-800-273-8255. The number's on that screen. You can write it down, 1-800-723-8255. Well, in other Hollywood news, actor Chris Pratt is getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, and he's thanking God for his blessings.
Chris recently posted a sneak peek Instagram photo of the work being done to create the star, along with this Bible verse: "The Lord has done great things for us, and we are filled with joy." That's Psalm 126:3. Chris has been very outspoken about his faith and stars in Marvel's upcoming movie, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. It releases in the United States on May the 5th.
And we're all looking forward to that one. Did you see the first one?
I did not.
You're not a fan of Marvel.
Well, you know, boys are just...
Boys.
No, heroes in disguise.
We all want to be superheroes. Anyway, it's got a lot of laugh lines in it. You might like it. Well, another Hollywood star is making history. Actor Kirk Cameron hosted the National Bible Bee game show on Facebook Live, and 3 million people reached. Over 1 million people tuned in live to view the historic premiere.
It was the first ever television series to broadcast on Facebook Live, with 72 contestants ranging from 7 to 18 years old competing for $270,000 in prize money. Sign me up. These young people memorized up to 840 verses from the Bible in just 90 days. I'm going to say that Jesus wept was one of those. What do you think?
That was always the easy one. Here's an idea for you. If you want to get your children memorizing Bible verses, which I think is a good thing, the more you memorize, then it'll hold in their adult years, and it'll be something they can lean back on. Offer them money to do it. Say, for every Bible verse you can recite before me, I'll give you $1 a week, or $1 a verse, and see what happens. And you'll definitely get Jesus wept. Pay me the $1. You'll get that one. But realize that's one off, and now they've got to go memorize the longer one. Well, did you know that Israel holds something similar to the Bible Bee every year? It's called the International Bible Quiz, and it's an annual event that brings together dozens of Jewish youth aged 14 to 18 from around the world.
This year, the contestants are from 33 different countries, and they meet in Israel for a 2.5-week Bible camp. They explore their heritage, and they meet with several government officials. On Israel's Independence Day, May 1st and 2nd, the contestants are tested on their knowledge of the Bible.
And that's a wonderful thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Well, speaking of Israel, we have a short trailer for you, so take a look.
The time has come to begin a battle of annihilation.
Our goal is clear: to wipe Israel off the map.
We shall destroy Israel and its inhabitants.
I just started this job 10 months ago. Now you want me to plan an entire war in 2 days?
Yes?
Take the old city and be done with it.
No more bloodshed.
We should go in now.
And what is your great strategy for that?
To be right here, Mota, and not to go in. History will never forgive you.
Jerusalem has never been conquered from the east. Not since King David's time.
So it will be the second time. And the last one.
Enter the old city immediately and capture it.
55th Paratrooper Brigade, move toward the Lion's Gate. It was a merciless battle, but you didn't complain. For you, it was enough to drive forward and to conquer. Jerusalem is yours, forever.
Understand today's headlines when you see the UN passing resolutions against Israel, when you hear of all the conflict in the Middle East. This is the source of it, and it's the Six-Day War. It's the story of the paratroopers who retook the Temple Mount, announced to the world the Temple Mount is in our hands, and fulfilled the prophecies in the Bible that once again Jerusalem would no longer be trodden under the foot of the Gentiles. So if you want to get informed and get the real history of what really happened, go see the movie. Tickets are available now. The movie is a one-day only, Tuesday, May 23. That's Jerusalem Reunification Day. That's the reason we picked it on the Jewish calendar. That's when they celebrate. On our calendar, it will be June 7, but the movie won't be out then. It's only there Tuesday, May 23. It's a Fathom event. And if you want tickets, go to inourhands1967.com. Well, coming up, pastor and author Robby Gallaty shares how he went from spending almost $200 a day on drugs to preaching the gospel. Hear about his amazing transformation when we come back. Well, drug addiction almost destroyed Robby Gallaty's life. He had to lie, steal thousands of dollars just to support his habit. But one day, he remembered a conversation with a friend in college, a conversation about someone named Jesus.
In 1999, Robby Gallaty was addicted to prescription drugs. That addiction led to a $200 a day heroin and cocaine habit. And to support that habit, Robby started dealing drugs. 7 years and 2 unsuccessful rehab treatments later, Robby grew desperate.
I got on my knees, and here's what I literally told the Lord. I said, God, if you're real, I'm going to surrender my life to you. On that day, I had a 24-hour, Paul-like transformational conversion.
In his book, The Forgotten Jesus, Robby helps others better understand the culture of biblical times and why he developed an easy daily Bible reading plan.
Well, joining me now is pastor and author Robby Gallaty. Welcome to the show. It's great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Let's go back to that conversation in college. What did the friend tell you?
He came to my room. His name's Jeremy Brown. He was about 6'5". I'm 6'6". I think he was the only one brave enough to talk to me, I jokingly say. And he said, Robby, I know you don't want Jesus, but if you ever get in a bind and everyone's turned their back on you, you can cry out to the Lord through repentance and faith, and he'll save you. And I said, Jeremy, thanks, but no thanks. I'm not really interested in that. But he sowed seeds that God would bring to fruition 7 years later. And it was in my room, 2002, November 12th. I cried out to the Lord. I wasn't in a church. It wasn't a revival service. And I had a 24-hour conversion experience with the Lord. It was so radical, Gore. The next day, I went to my dad. I said, Dad, I'm called. I knew I was going into the ministry the day I was saved. I just knew it. And I said, Dad, I'm going into the ministry. My dad, who has watched his drug-addicted son for so many years, 2 rehab treatments, he's thinking, what are you smoking? You know what I mean? like of all things, a preacher? Come on, son. And he said, how are you going to get married by being a priest?
Was anybody in your family a preacher?
Nobody. We were raised Catholic, Roman Catholic.
Wow.
And I didn't have a dad that was a pastor, didn't have any friends in the ministry, didn't know anybody who went to a Protestant church. And he said, how are you going to get married by being a priest? You know, the necktie. I said, no, Dad, not a priest. And I didn't know what God was doing, but I knew he was up to something.
What about that 24-hour period convinced you that you were going into ministry?
So I went to, of all places, a Christian college. I went to a Southern Baptist college to play basketball as a Roman Catholic. And I don't know if you know what that means, but I was the target of every evangelism class on campus, you know. I tell people, I cruised through the campus blaring the unedited version of Tupac Shakur rap in my Ford Mustang, which is not good, just to tell you. And what were those Christian students thinking, you know? But I was lost. And I remember just hearing about ministry and what God was doing in their lives, and God just kind of wooed me to himself. He just drew me to himself, and I realized, I'm going to do this the rest of my life. He had prepared me for that, communications background, speaking and different things, and God was using all that. You know, he never wastes a hurt. Yeah. He never wastes a mess in our life. He always gives us an opportunity to turn it into a message. And God used that, and I just knew this is what I was going to do the rest of my life.
Yeah, he will guide and shape your life, even when you're not even aware that he's guiding and shaping your life.
That's right.
He'll do that. How bad did it get for you?
At the height of it, I had a $180 a day heroin and cocaine addiction. By God's grace, I didn't shoot drugs. I was snorting heroin, cocaine, but it was $180 a day. I had just blown through money. The addiction was overwhelming at the end. And my unbelieving parents, by the grace of God, took me back in and welcomed me, showed the love of Christ, even after robbing them for $15,000 months earlier. And it was that started me on a road to recovery. Yeah.
How hard was it to get free of it?
You know, when the Lord set me free the second time and I really surrendered, it doesn't happen always for people like this, obviously.
What do you mean the second time?
So I went to rehab twice. The first time I went to rehab, and here's what I tell people, the reason I went to rehab twice is the first time I did it without Christ. And you know as well as I that you can experience, and we know people have experienced momentary sobriety. But I tell people, sobriety without Christ is a dead-end street. Here's why. We need someone outside of ourselves, namely God, to set us free from the bondage of sin. And so while I would have momentary lapses of sobriety, it wasn't long-term. And Christ really did set me free. Opened the prison cell I was in, and I was able to walk free. And yes, it was hard because I had a lot of habits, hang-ups from the past. But I wandered for about 8 months, Gordon. I'm at church one Sunday. A man named David Platt, author of Radical, the International Mission Board of the Southern Baptist Convention, President David Platt, who's a seminary student. He comes up to me and he says, hey, would you want to meet once a week to study the Bible, memorize Scripture, and pray? I said, David, I'd love to. He said, pray about it. I said, I already have. When do we meet? And for the next 2 years, every Tuesday and Thursday, twice a week, we met. We prayed together. He baptized me, stood at my wedding. He encouraged me to go to seminary. He encouraged me to go overseas with him. I got a passion in my heart for preaching, a passion for the nations. And so I tell people, I'm the product of discipleship. You know, how different would my life be if I wasn't discipled by David and other people? I definitely wouldn't be sitting here. But more importantly, I think, and the great question for those who are watching, the great question is, how different would our lives be if we got serious about investing our lives in the lives of other people? I think we'd begin to see a biblical model for making disciples.
And it's the whole purpose of what we're supposed to go and make disciples. We're not, I mean, that's the key. And without discipline of discipleship, it's kind of hard. You want to go back to the old ways.
Exactly.
Let's talk about your book, The Forgotten Jesus, because this is one of the things I think we've lost in the Christian world. We don't celebrate the Jewish festivals. Most Christians don't know the order of the Seder service.
No.
And let's just pick out one of the festivals that you point out, which is the Feast of Tabernacles.
Oh, man.
Why that one? Why is that one so important to you?
Well, I talk about the Feast of Tabernacles in two parts. The first is when Jesus gets up and says, out of me will flow rivers of living water. And if you don't know what's happening up to that point, 7 days, it's a festival for rain. So they're praying for God to send the rain for the harvest. God doesn't send the rain, they can't go get Dasani. They can't turn on the water hose. They're praying for rain. And on the 8th day, it says in John 7, the great day, Jesus, who'd been kind of waiting in the distance, decides he's going to stand up and speak. And so on the 8th day, it's very different than the first few days. The first 7 days, the priests would go down to the Pool of Siloam with a procession of hundreds and thousands of people. This is a pilgrimage festival, so they're all there. He would scoop water into that pitcher, come back up. He would hold it high. People would go crazy. They would say, Hosanna, save us, Hosanna. He'd raise the water jug up. The people would be quiet. He'd pour the water jug into the funnel. The people would go crazy. God provided the water. But on the last day, the great day, it says, two things different would happen. When the priest would come back up from the pool of Siloam, he would walk around the altar 7 times. 7 times he'd walk around, symbolic of Joshua walking around the walls of Jericho. So they knew that. This was something God was going to do. But when he would hold the pitcher up, all the people would be silent. And when he'd pour the pitcher, there was no water in it. And it was symbolic. It was a visual realization for the people that if they don't trust in God, he's not going to provide the rain. Well, on that day is the day Jesus decides in God's infinite wisdom to stand up and shout. So think about this. People are cheering, they're silent. He holds the pitcher up, Hosanna, Hosanna, silent, holds the pitcher up. And when he pours out nothing, a Galilean rabbi in the distance stands up and says this, if anyone is thirsty, let him come to me and drink. Out of his heart will flow rivers of living water. And for years, I've always thought Jesus interrupts the service. He actually interprets it.
Yeah.
Because what he's saying is, you guys are trying to get satisfaction from water and bread, and that'll satisfy you for a season, but I'm going to satisfy you for eternity. And it's a wonderful picture how I think as Western Christians, we miss the impact of the Bible. Now people say, do you need to know the Eastern culture to read the Bible? You don't need to know the Eastern culture.
I would say you do.
Yeah, well, okay. I would say that too, but I'm not going to go too hard. I would say you could read the Bible.
Yeah, I think the more you understand Jewish culture and tradition and understand the festivals, particularly the water ceremony, you can't read John 7 without the knowledge.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
You're going to be lacking in understanding without that background. In today's world, we're seeing a whole move against organized religion. I'm spiritual, but I don't want to be part of organized religion.
Yeah.
We need to understand Jesus was the centerpiece of organized religion.
Yes.
And he fulfilled that ceremony. He didn't just interpret it. He said, I am the fulfillment of this.
He is dressing like a Jewish man. He has his tefillin on. He has his phylacteries. Jesus is dressed like a man. He's following the... People say, well, Jesus broke the commandments. He never broke the commandments. Now,
not a one.
What's that?
Not a one.
Not a one, yeah. So
his whole life.
His whole life. Now, when people say, well, why are the Pharisees upset? What he's doing is, and I say this in the book, he is purposely breaking the oral law, which was set as fences by the Pharisees around the law. And he did this all the time in order to probe and push. They're rubbing grain on the Sabbath. He's got a guy with mud in his eyes walking, which mud was prohibited by the Pharisees to mold mud. A man's walking on Sabbath with the healing of the blind man. They put parameters on how far you can walk. Jesus did that purposely for the oral law, but he never broke the written law. And Jesus is a man who's a Jewish man, Jewish culture, predominantly Jewish followers, following Jewish customs. And I think as Western Christians, we miss that if we bring this lens into an Eastern book. And so what I tell people is this, you can read the Bible without understanding this. It's like black and white. When you and I watch an old black and white show, it's impactful. But when they took The Sound of Music, for example, or The Wizard of Oz, and they took it from black and white and moved it to color, it's the same movie, but it has a different feel, a different encounter. And so when you understand the Eastern culture, what I tell people is, it moves the Bible from being read in black and white, this one key element we've missed, to Technicolor high definition. And it's just a different environment, different feel, different encounter when you read the Bible.
Let's talk about another one, the Seder service.
Okay.
And how does that relate to the Last Supper?
Yeah, so I think, as you probably believe, the Last Supper is a Seder meal. Even I have pieced together a seating arrangement based on the Last Supper. And what I do is I show this picture of the Leonardo da Vinci painting. And what I talk about is how an Italian painter has hijacked the Passover. He's done it in 3 ways. Now, we can't fault Da Vinci because this is a man who's a painter. He's not a theologian, he's an artist, right? So here's Leonardo da Vinci. If you picture the painting, he's got the disciples flanked out on either side of Jesus at a long banquet hall. In the background picture is a beautiful sunset with rolling luscious hills, and on the table is a certain menu. It's inconsistent in 3 ways. The first one is this. We all know that the Passover took place at night. not during the day. Right. So in the background, you see
after the sun went down.
Yeah, after the sun went down. So we see in the background this painting with this beautiful sunset. Birds are flying. You know, luscious hills. This is an arid Jerusalem environment here. It's very different. Secondly, the disciples wouldn't have sat at a long Roman banquet table. They would have sat at what's called a triclinium, which is a U-shaped table. The disciples would have reclined on their left side, their feet would have protruded out to the right, and they would have eaten with their right hand. Now, this makes total sense for how Jesus at the Last Supper gets up from the meal. People think, well, he washed the feet at the beginning of the meal. He didn't do that. It says in the middle of the meal, Jesus stands up, he grabs the water bowl, and I always thought, here's Jesus getting under the table trying to wash feet.
No, the feet are out from under
the feet are out from the side. So it's very easy for the, at the time, servant to wash the disciples' feet. But the final one is, which I always think is funny, the menu. If you look at the painting, and you can go online and look at the painting, the menu consists, in Leonardo's painting, these puffy French pastries and fish, which I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. I love a catfish po' boy. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, like anybody, I love a catfish po' boy. But Jesus would have never eaten that at the Last Supper. As you know, the Seder consisted of unleavened bread, flat bread,
and a whole lamb.
And a lamb. And so, why is that important? If we're
it had to be totally consumed.
Yes, had to be totally consumed. So why is that important? Because if we allow these cultural contexts, these presuppositions, these traditions to infuse our understanding of the Bible, we can bring things that are alien to the text, particularly as it pertains to the Passover.
For me, one of the signatures of it is the Hallel, which is the series of psalms that are sung at every Seder. And to read Psalm 118, to know that that was the song that Matthew talks about. They sang a hymn and they went out. And they crossed over the Kidron Valley. They went to the Garden of Gethsemane. So the last psalm, the last hymn that Jesus sang with his disciples was Psalm 118. Which says, I will not die, but live and declare the glory of the Lord. This is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Open the gates of salvation. You read Psalm 118 in that context, and it is absolutely thrilling in the Seder prophesying of the Messiah and what the Messiah would do. Yeah. And here he is saying, this is my body broken for you. Okay. We can talk a lot of time, but we're out of time. So the book is called, if you want to find out more, The Forgotten Jesus. It's a journey back to biblical times to rediscover who Jesus really was. It's available nationwide, so get a copy. Get educated as to the Jewish Jesus. Here's a verse from Mark, and he said to them, go into all the world and preach the gospel to all creation. God bless you. We'll see you again.